even if scientific consensus is.
Yeah.
So how do you marshal the support for big spending on mitigation and prevention measures?
Well, public opinion. I mean, these events are hitting home, aren't they? So there's going to be more space, I think, for people to sort of accept policy and accept governments doing things. Political consensus is, beyond my, I'm an economist.
Right, no, I gotcha. But it's interesting, we were talking during the commercial break when you were coming in about how we think of wildfires as a summer event, but it's the winter storms and the ice storms and the wind storms that knock off branches and knock off brush that create that canopy of fuel that's on the forest floor, right? I mean, so what can we do on that in terms of like forest grooming and cleaning things up? How do we approach these things?
Yeah, so better forest management practices, yeah, absolutely, and more money spent on fire breaks and forest management. Just like your previous guest, with more money spent on firefighting, we have to look at a broader suite of actions. Yeah.
But you've done the modeling on this too, right? That for every dollar spent on prevention, it's like a $14 or $15 multiplier. Explain to me how the economics of that, because we'll get you off public opinion, get back to
where I live. We were surprised at that number. So for every dollar we spend, you have direct impact. So in your house, so if you spend $1 on prevention to reduce a flood, you're going to save $5, give or take. And then what happens is that the pinball effects or the knock-on effects, especially business disruptions, then manifest or multiply through the economy. And that's how that number gets there. So supply chains get basically, costs get passed through and this sort of thing. So when you can avoid those costs, you can then avoid these pinball effects through the economy and reduce the damages. So prevention pays, basically, and in a big way.
It's an interesting thing, right? Because when governments invest in a business, they do the multiplier jobs, and everyone just kind of accepts that.
They roll their eyes.
Right,
some people.
But when you invest in, say, prevention and mitigation and do the multiplier effect on that, it seems to be a harder sell. Like it's a more difficult thing for people to imagine, even in times like this.
Well, we manage for acute problems. Look at healthcare. We put money into hospitals. We put way less money into prevention. Like avoid the acute outcome if you can. And I think governments are sort of slow to invest in prevention, loath to invest in prevention.
If the math is such a no-brainer, why do you think that is? I mean, if every dollar saves you 15 and here's the cost, I mean, I think the math works out to about half of all growth will be wiped out by climate disasters by the mid part of this century. If the math is such a no-brainer, why isn't it being listened to?
Yeah, so one of the challenges we've been so focused on mitigation and the costs of reducing emissions, the carbon tax, for example, and not enough attention paid to the climate impacts, the climate change impacts. So that's been the challenge, and we're just starting to get a handle on that and reveal those numbers. And then as we get comfortable with them and we see these disasters, the BC floods, for example, I think opinions and political consensus will maybe shift a little.